Paul. Welcome back to my channel, The Beginner here. Today we are going to talk about Star Wars Battlefront 2, yet another time. Because this time around, there's a talk that there might not be a microtransaction thing ever again in the game. And that's kind of like a speculation rather than something of a confirmation, because people have been talking about it. There's no official thing to kind of like quote on. But people are starting to think that DICE had made a mistake listening to EA, because there's two entities here. One is the developer themselves and the other is the publishers. Now the developers, I don't think they will do these things in their game. I mean, imagine it, like, would you as a developer go create a game that is a franchise, the franchise which is loved by millions and millions of people, and you're given that IP not to screw around with it, and then you're gonna go and put these things here? I mean, if you create a game that is like absolutely worthwhile, people are gonna enjoy the games for what it's worth, right? And they are gonna buy your game, they're gonna enjoy it, and then if they like it, they will pay more when you have certain things available for them. I mean, if you can do that, then why the hell would you go and do microtransactions? Now that's a whole other story, but the major thing to take away from this is, don't screw around with microtransaction and loot boxes too much, because people are opening their eyes. It's been 5 years. I mean, too little too late, but at the same time, there is rallying and people are actually listening to their own influences. There are a lot of YouTubers who know the shit and who knows how greedy EA is. I mean, at the top of the level, like, the difference is, I buy games whenever they come out, like weekly, monthly. I have a lot of games I need to buy. So for me, it's going to be hard to buy a $60 game and enjoy it with without like microtransaction in them. Because if you think about it, if I get Star Wars Battlefront 2, that's just it. They said no add-ons, no extra money, which I like. But at the same time, I can't enjoy the game without spending more money on it, right? Star cards, loot boxes, and stuff like that. But if I could enjoy them, I would give a new good result to people, and people who are following me will listen to that. But that's not been the case, because I can't buy the game, because I can buy with that money. I can buy a lot of good games. The best example that I can give you is Cuphead. That's just a $20 game, and regional prices are there, so it will be even lower for me. So I can get that game and I can enjoy it. I mean, obviously I die a lot, but at the same time I can enjoy that game without have to spending any more money. Or I could just go and download Path of Exile or Warframe, which I'll be talking about later, separate video. I can understand, I can buy those games and I can support the developers, because that's a free-to-play game. So this is a $60 premium title, and if the loot boxes are on the sidelines, then it's no problem. I'll play the game, and if I like the game, maybe I'll buy the microtransaction. I would never buy the microtransaction, but again, I'm making the argument for people who do. So people who buy the microtransactions are going to be like, okay, you know what, they did a good job at it. That's just a sideline. It's not going to affect my gameplay. It's just supporting the developers in the sidelines, right? But when you build it around the game, I mean, that's just not the way it is. The major problem that people don't understand with Star Wars Battlefront 2 is, when it got beta tested, people talked about how it's pay to win. Total Biscuit, Angry Joe, they even interviewed, and Angry Joe even interviewed the guys from the DICE. He didn't know anything about it. He was like, oh, I didn't know the numbers. I don't know the numbers. But he was just deflecting the questions. He was just like, he knew that he was under fire, and he knew that he can't talk about it. Like, the gamers are, coming up down his throat, and then EA are like forcing him down. So he's in the bad position here. You can't just blame DICE for it. You have to claim and blame EA for it, because EA has a board of directors. And I talked about this before. When they shut down Visceral Games, they asked the developer of that location, FIFA 18 or FIFA 17 made me $1 billion. What's your game gonna do? I mean, you can't compare a sports game with a single player Star Wars game, right? I mean, they were created by people who created Uncharted. Remember how Uncharted was? Yeah, it was created by those guys. Now EA is comparing with sports game, with that kind of a game. Now imagine how it's going to be for the future, 5 years from now. But this is kind of like a learning curve for them. Star Wars Battlefront 2 really hit them hard, and it's not just where like people revolting and not buying the games and just leaving it at that. They just really went at it. It was a big issue. It is a big issue. It will be a big issue tomorrow. So that's a great deal of things. And when I take a look at it, I'm really happy about it, because Star Wars Battlefront 2 hit EA where it matters, money. It lost around $3 billion in stock. $3 billion. I mean, that was absolutely perfect. and I would say that kind of woken them up, and they said microtransactions will not be coming back if people are if they are making changes, and if they that changes are not kind of like actual change that doesn't change the game like drastically, which should, then they have no other choice but to drop microtransaction and then go for more loot boxes. Now DICE took a look at the game and then they changed a lot of things, so which I need to kind of talk about. The major thing is they kind of closed down the arcade mode for people not to just like farm that up. So they stopped it. They said, you know what, we are not going to stop that anymore, we are going to give more in that time. So they are going to do that. And for you, if you are a, that's the problem, right? If you are a great gamer and if you know how to play multiplayer itself, you can go like shoot people, you can kill them, and then you can farm up more points. But that was not the case with Star Wars Battlefront 2. If you play shitty, if you get 1 kill and your team MVP gets 50 kill, he's going to get the same credit, you're going to get the same credit. So you don't have to play. That's why the kind of like rubber band tactics came in. That's just like the controller will have rubber bands and then they will just leave it. That's it. It will play the game and you will get the credits. So people who actually play the game, who enjoy the game, won't get the extra benefits. But they changed that. Now the people who are playing well will get more credits. People who are not playing well will get less credit, and they have the chance to play heroes. You don't. But that's kind of like an encouragement for you to play the game better. And then they just said, the daily loot crates will not have shits in them anymore. So it will have more crafting points. It will have more star cards. Obviously, it's shitty, but at the same time, it is providing something. But you don't have to go there every time, right? The loot boxes should not be open every time. You will get something from time to time, and that should be worthwhile. And yeah, the customization that the CFO said was stupidity right there. But the sales number has been showcasing that kind of a just like a hatred. Like they were happy, gamers were happy to see a Star Wars game that is not shitty, and they just like when they showed the loot boxes, it was done for. People just like half of the population of the gaming community just gave up when they showed the trailers, when they showed the loot boxes, and when they played the beta, that was like the 90% control, and when the game released, 10%. That's it. Like the 100% of the people who are actually gamers know that this is shit and this has to be stopped, and they stopped it. Maybe not 100%, but they are trying, right? So we gotta give him time, and it's a slow process. And I'll talk about some gambling laws that I've been talking about on the other countries and stuff. And that's it pretty much for this video, guys. Hit that like button if you like this video, share the video with your friends and family, subscribe to the channel for Internet Gaming, stop posting around with that notification icon as well. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you think about Star Wars Battlefront 2 in terms of loot boxes, not the sales, not the everything else, but what do you think? Microtransactions should be in there or should not be in there? Whatever it is, let me know in the comments down below. I'll see you on the next one. Until then, bye.
Let it go.